from Desi Kangaroos Television. Now, the current breaking news is that one of Australia's leading TV and radio personalities, Kyle Sandilands, the fame of Big Brother and Australian Idol, has made anti-Indian statements in his popular radio show, The Kyle and Jackie O Show, on Today FM 104.1. Now, what did he exactly say? Let's listen.
Well, India, Kyle.
Hey, I like Indians. I just think India is a shithole. And even Indians think it's a shithole.
No, they don't.
They do. They don't want a bath in a river with the dead cows and all these
Not
dead
everybody
things.
has to do that. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
those
a holy...
with a shower are very lucky.
That's a holy river, isn't it?
No, it is not.
It is.
Well, someone has told someone a furphy because that river is a junkyard.
Now, is it justified to ridicule a religious practice or a country? Can this be taken as good humor? How far can you go in the name of entertainment? Does freedom of speech give you the right to hurt someone's sentiments? So what exactly is happening with this issue? Well, we have Desi Kangaroos correspondent Ashwin Ravi with more.
Thanks, Chandni. I'm here with Dr. Yadu Singh. Dr. Yadu Singh, welcome to DKTV. Now, we're discussing a very important issue. Now, Dr. Singh represents is the president of the Council of Indian Australians, a body that represents the Indian Australian community here in Australia. And he is also an avid blogger. Now, Dr. Singh, I'm sure you're aware of the issue that is in discussion today. So, first of all, what is your reaction to this?
When I basically was sent this link and I heard the comments from Kyle Sandilands from Today FM, I was very angry because he made some offensive comments about not only India, which I really hold very dear in my heart, but he also went into the religion, which is Hinduism. And he made some comments about, by insinuation, comments about river Ganges and the practice of Hindus taking bathing and all those in that river. So he went into that and I felt very upset, very offended and very angry.
All right. Okay. Well, you did mention there were two aspects to that. Now, for those of you who've already heard the clip, which you should have, he did mention that I have nothing against Indians, and I quote him, I have nothing against Indians, but I think India is a shithole. So hereby declaring that he has nothing against the people, but he hates the country. Now, that could be perceived as an opinion, right? But his following statement about River Ganges, like you mentioned, intrudes on cultural beliefs and cultural and religious, people's opinion. And as a Hindu practice, as a person of Hindu origin and Hindu culture that you practice, obviously, what's your take on this? He has gone a bit too far in terms of hurting religious sentiments?
Yes. See, he's very smart. He says that he has nothing against Indians, but then everything else he criticizes, which means, River Ganges is a junkyard. He talks about the practice of taking a holy dip in the river. So he talks about all those things. If Indians are all great, well, then the country we come from can't be that bad either. So actually he's smartly covering his track. And I think his views about India and Indians are not that positive, and he's just being smart by covering his track. So I really don't think he can sell this idea to me that he loves Indians but doesn't like India or the practice we have in India.
That is a valid point. And so, do you think this is a case of entertainment that has gone too far? Now, Kyle is not an unknown person here in Australia. He's quite well known. He presents at Today FM. He also is one of the judges at Australia's Got Talent. So, quite a well-networked person who is already well known for whatever reasons here in Australia. Now, a person like that, I'm sure, is already aware of the certain relationship where India and Australia already stand at. I mean, they have, as everyone knows, Australia has had a lot of issues with India and vice versa in regards to the racism that first started off about a year and a half or 2 years ago, then followed by the very recent issue that, an Australian swimsuit designer had designed bikinis with goddess Lakshmi on places that shouldn't be, and followed very recently also by a Sikh person being refused entry into a hotel in Brisbane. So such incidences have been continuously happening. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't know, maybe. But what is your take on it?
I don't think we should call them as a trend. There are some people who are very uninformed and basically they don't know things what is happening in the world. So they do all those things. I don't think Kyle is that well informed about India. I think his views were clearly ill-informed. And, he's a broadcaster. He ought to be informed, but he's not informed. I mean, we know Kyle, people like him, but there are a vast number of people who don't like him. So I'm not going to go on the racism direction or angle. I will just say that his comments were offensive, they were ill-informed, and they were unnecessary. They are not going to help the relation between India and Australia because they would be misinterpreted by a section of Indian media, and they are in public domain, and they will reach India. And we don't want that because Kyle is Kyle. He doesn't represent Australia, and I don't believe we should take him as the views of whole Australia. So I will just condemn them for being ill-informed, insensitive, objectionable and unnecessary comments, but I don't think we should put whole Australia into that.
I think that's a very valid point in regards to India not, taking on a limb here and running again and saying Australia is a racist country, everyone there has problems. I mean, like you said, it is not fair to judge a whole country of, millions of population by just one single person who already has a reputation of being a big mouth and who, does not take into consideration personal or religious, sentiments. Now, moving on to talking about Australian culture itself, it's very well known for us, at least us Indian Australians or people who have been living here in Australia for a long time, that Australians tend to rag and pull down other people as a sign of sense of humor. Now, again, this is a cultural domain which is, native to Australians. When they like someone or when they bully someone, it does not necessarily mean that they have any issues against them, but however, that they're just doing it for the sense of humor. Now, has Kyle taken a sense of humor to a new level by saying what he said, and has he gone a little too far in regards to this? Because considering that he is already well known for his very negative reputation. In fact, Kyle, for those of you who are not familiar with him, he has been very popular in the media, not for his positive influence, but more for his negative influences. And in fact, in 2006, one of the most popular leading men's magazine had voted him 2006's most hated Australian. So it's not surprising that something like this is actually coming from a person like that. So considering all of this, how do you think our Indians should react to this particular situation, especially the Indian community here in Australia, considering that we're sort of caught in a quam between these two things, because we're not 100% Indian, we're not 100% Australian. We like both countries and we want to live in harmony. So what is your message to them?
Sure. I don't think Kyle represents Australia. I don't think so. Those people who actually put down other people's beliefs and the race and whatnot, they are in minority here. Majority of people in Australia do not do that. So Kyle is in minority, not in majority. That's number one. I don't think really I'm going to call Kyle as someone who's smart enough to understand the ramifications of his comments. He often says something and he probably thinks later that he has made some comments which probably will backfire on him. And it has been found out many times that he has been in a big problem because of those comments. So I would say to the Indian Australians that, look, we should react, but we should react in proportion. And that proportion is that we have already written to the station, and we have written to the Indian High Commissioner, we have written to Consul General, because there were comments which were against India and the belief system of Hinduism. And we will not accept it. These comments were totally unacceptable to me as an Indian, as an Australian, and as a Hindu. And we have taken action on that. Council of Indian Australians has already written to the station, Today FM, and other people, asking them to basically apologize. And we are hoping that they will do that. Now, what we want people to not start imagining that Australia is this, Australia is that, because this guy is ignorant. He is basically ignorant, and he's a loudmouth, and he says something which I'm sure later on he will apologize, and he will have to apologize because he can't insult people's belief system. So he will do that, and we are working on it. Just join us in this campaign and we will get the result which we need.
Sure. Well, moving on from there, we obviously want to cover the story as it happens and hopefully give the opinion to the people watching this as to what happens with this situation, and hopefully we'll get some opinions from Today FM as well as other prominent people within the Indian-Australian community. So we back to Chandni, and this is Ashwin Ravi with Dr. Yadu Singh, and we will be talking to you very soon, Dr. Singh, in more spectrums in regards to this matter.
And I'm going to say this, that we are taking this matter up, and let's not have multiple people doing the same job. We are doing this, Council of Indian Australians is doing this, and be with us and we'll get the result.
Sure. Well, thanks a lot for that, Dr. Singh. Back to you, Chandni.
Now, Kyle Sandilands does owe an apology to Australia and Indians worldwide, and emails have been sent, calls have been made in this regard. And Ashwin actually went to Today FM studio in Sydney to see how they were retorting to the issue.
Hi, I'm outside the Today FM studios, and we came here to get Kyle's opinion on what's been happening, but unfortunately, as expected, Kyle is not available for any comments. Now, emails have been sent, and only time will tell before they have an answer.
Well, that's the news. Desi Kangaroos Television and the Council of Indian Australians strongly condemns Kyle Sandilands' anti-Indian statements, and we need your support to resolve this issue. So we urge you all to join in and send your comments to news@desikangaroos.com to show your support. That's Chandni Rao from DKTV.